not prepared!
Welcome to another top 5 with Kris 05, guys. We just saw the nerfs yesterday, so in this video I will give you 5 great decks I do believe will continue to win in this new nerfed meta. Like I told you in the previous top 5, I will give you the deck codes with the help of the site Out of Cards. So you can open the link from there and copy it easily from PC as well as from mobile. I would really appreciate it if you also upvote the deck codes if you take them, and a like and subscribe to the channel would be awesome too. Now let's check out the decks. The deck I really think is gonna be amazing in this new post-nerf meta is gonna be Quest Rogue. Quest Rogue was insane before the nerfs, and after that it didn't get touched, so naturally it's gonna remain in a pretty OP state. The great thing about Quest Rogue is it's amazing against Paladins, so with the nerf to Paladins maybe we're gonna see a little bit less of them, but still, the deck is just too good not to be great. This is the same list I've showed you in the previous Quest Rogue guide, so you can check out a more detailed breakdown for this deck from there. And also witness how we got 100% win rate with Jadis from rank Diamond 10 to Legend, 0 losses. As you can see, the matchups for this deck are pretty green all around, aside from Warlocks, but like you know, they just got nerfed. Face Hunter is also a little bit questionable, and same goes for Aggro Elemental Shaman, but everything else is very green. Again, for the mulligan, when you're going first and second, you want your cheap SI cards. And when going second, you can even keep cards like Secret Passage, and also Scabs could be pretty good, but make sure you actually have cards you want to be comboing with him. All around, the deck is not too cheap, but like I said in the previous video, a lot of these legendaries are just icing on the cake. And honestly, the only real legendary you need in here is Find the Imposter. Anything else could be changed to something a little bit less optimal, but still decent. With Rogue, also Secret Thief Rogue is gonna be decent still, and I do believe even the nerfed for the second time Garrett Rogue is still gonna be insanely OP in skilled hands. But you really need to know what you're doing with that deck to actually make it work, especially after the nerf. Next on the list, we have Paladin again, a Libram Paladin. Even though Libram Paladin got 2 nerfs, let's not pretend that the Alliance Bannerman going down as a 2-1 actually matters. It's literally not gonna change anything, and this card is still gonna be a part of any Paladin deck. Iron Deep Trog, however, is a huge nerf, and this is definitely gonna drop down your insta win rate on turn 1. But it's still a pretty good card for Paladin, and it has a lot of synergies for the deck. In the end of the day, Paladin wants to be having extra bodies on the board, and with the 1-2 Trog still being able to split up into another Trog, that's just decent. It's not broken anymore, but it's still very good in the deck. If you don't like the Iron Deep Trog too much now, I guess you can just keep one of them and maybe add in a Mutinous in here, so you can be eating some quest rewards. But honestly, I think this is a pretty optimal version of what Libram Paladin should be looking like. No need to talk about this deck, because we've seen it already, and you can check out some of my gameplay from that video. For the matchups, Priests are gonna be pretty bad for you, but you're not gonna see that many of those. And with Warlock, the Hand Warlock is gonna be favorable, but the rest not so much. Boner OTK Shaman is obviously pretty bad for you, and Freeze Shaman is a 50-50, but Quest Rogue is really gonna be strong against you, so if you're seeing too many of those, it's probably not gonna be that great for you. For the mulligan guide, when you're going first, you want your cheap good minions, as well as Stoneheart Vindicator, and maybe a buff if you already have a good one drop. Alliance Bannerman is an obvious keep most of the time, and if you're already curving out somewhat decently, even Light Force Cariel makes the cut, because she's just that broken. Kerub Rome is also acceptable, but the rest is probably questionable. When going second, however, you can keep some more expensive cards, like Samuro and even Aldor Truthseeker, but again, try to be actually curving into it. The rest is pretty much the same. This is yet another very expensive list, and here most of the legendaries are actually pretty core. So if you don't have deep pockets and you're missing a lot of cards here, you best think twice before crafting this. Other than that, Buff Paladin is still gonna be pretty strong, I do believe, but as you can see, Big Paladin is pretty bad. Now let's move down to a very cheap deck, Burn Shaman, which is actually somewhat of a new archetype. Burn Shaman relies on a lot of spell power as well as a lot of burn spells, from where the name comes. And you also manage to draw a ton of cards with your multicaster. We are running the nerfed Snowfall Guardians, but still, it's a pretty important card for you, because it's a 6-mana Frost Nova with a big body on it. We also have a couple of macaws that are gonna be repeating some of those good battle cries, either with your multicaster or your Snowfall Guardian, or even Sleet Breaker in worst case scenario. You have a lot of burn spells with Lightning Bolt, Frostbite, which can also go face, Molten Blast, and also Serpentshire Portal. And you have Novice Zapper, Primordial Study so you can get extra spell power, and also Imprisoned Phoenix. And with Diligent Note Taker, you can double up some of those spells as well. Lightning Bloom is gonna help you get a lot of spells in a single turn, and ideally you wanna be setting up an Imprisoned Phoenix and try to calculate and set up how much damage you will be able to do in 2 turns with it. Matchup wise, Anaconda Druid is not gonna be that great for you, but you're probably not gonna see too many of that, especially after the nerfs. Face Hunter could be a problem, and also Quest Warrior might not be too good for you either, but everything else is either 50% or above. For the mulligan, when going first, you want your Sleet Breaker so you can get some good card draw, and also Multicaster is pretty good for same reasoning. Primordial Studies and Serpentshire Portal are not too bad, but I do believe that this Snowfall Guardian is not gonna be this high on the list, especially sitting at 6 mana. When going second it looks a little bit weird, but it's still Multicaster and Sleet Breaker probably best, and also Brilliant Macaw is not gonna be that bad if you already have these two, so you can get some good repeats on your battle cries. Frostbite is also a lot more capable here so you can actually make an honorable kill on your opponent's tempo minions. And I do believe this Lightning Bolt is this high on the list because of the possibility of early game Trogs, but now Trogs are just not that big. Like I said, this is an insanely cheap deck and you only run 2 epics and the rest is rares and commons. The overdrafts do seem pretty important in this deck because you do have a ton of overload mechanics, so it's probably gonna be worth it for you to craft these if you want to be playing this deck optimally. With Shaman, Aggro Elemental Shaman is still gonna be pretty good, Freeze Elemental Shaman as well, Bolner OTK is still gonna remain at the top in top 1000 Legend I do believe, and we have all sorts of iterations for Shaman, like Shaman is really having a great expansion this time. Next up, I do believe Quest Hand Warlock is gonna be making a return. Quest Hand Warlock dodged the nerfs pretty well, and the only card that got nerfed for it is Touch of the Nephrazim, and it's only going down by 1 health. Everything else remains the same old OP stuff, and you're still gonna be able to be taking wins left and right. Again, really no reason for me to talk about this deck, the only 2 new cards in here are the Full-Blown Evil, which can be pretty flexible for you, but everything else is same old news. Matchup-wise, Anaconda Druid was bad for you, but you're probably not gonna see too many of that. Face Hunter is still pretty good. Mazaki OTK Mage might become a little bit more popular again, and that is not a great matchup for you, but also Owl OTK Warlock was pretty bad, and now you're probably not gonna see too much of that. The good news here is you're gonna be great against Quest Rogues, okay against Libram and Buff Paladins, you're gonna smash Quest Warriors, and also Shamans are not gonna be too bad for you either. So all in all, you should be having a pretty good time. Mulligan wise, this is what it looks like when you're going first, and here's what it looks like when you're going second. All in all, this is another somewhat expensive deck with sitting at 4 legendaries and 4 epics, and they're all pretty important too. So if you want to be playing this deck, you will have to be forking out. Other than that, for Warlock, I'm not sure Owl OTK Warlock is gonna be too good after the nerfs, because it actually got hit pretty hard. It's still gonna work, it's just not gonna be as good anymore. So yeah, for now I do believe it's only gonna be Quest Hand Warlock. And the last deck on the list, like always in any new meta, is gonna be Face Hunter. Face Hunter is always great when the meta is somewhat shaky and people are trying new stuff, whereas Face Hunter just goes face. Even though Trog got nerfed, I still think it has room in this deck, because you do like to have extra minions on the board. And even though you're not gonna be splitting up the ramming mount buff anymore, it's still gonna be insanely powerful, and opponents will need to find a way to deal with it, because you don't want to be leaving a hunter with a minion on the board so they can buff it. Arcane Anomaly might also make the cut again instead of the Trog, but I do believe that the Trog still has its place in here. We also have a True Aim Crescent, which is just too good in this deck, and you're not making yourself any favors if you're playing without it. It is a hard weapon to master, but once you do, you will be stealing a lot of wins you weren't supposed to be winning. Other than that, it's just the same old Face Hunter list. Matchup wise, Fell Demon Hunter is gonna be pretty bad for you, but those are not too popular. Paladins are gonna be below 50 for you, but the rest is pretty green. Owl OTK was a bad matchup, but you shouldn't be seeing that one too much anymore. Mulligan wise, you want your cheap good minions. True Aim Crescent is a good keep a lot of the times. I would not be keeping Ringling's Rifle against anything other than maybe a Paladin so you can deal with some buffed up Trog and stuff like that. Also, Cult Neophyte is not that bad, but the rest is probably a bait. When going second, the situation is pretty much the same. This rifle really feels like it's too high on the list, especially if you already have a True Aim Crescent, because once you equip the True Aim Crescent, you're probably gonna finish the game with that. But the rest is basically pretty much the same. Don't get baited into overkeeping Warsong Wrangler anymore, and only do it if you already have 3 other perfect cards already. or maybe if you're against the Quest Warrior, because it's pretty important to get your big rhinos there. Other than that, for Hunter, Secret Hunter might actually see a rise in popularity, especially after the buff to Tavished hero power, and there's also a Bear Hunter. But all in all, as you can see, Face Hunter is at the top. Wow, there's actually a pretty high win rate Beast Hunter out there, that's interesting. For the classes I didn't mention, this is what it looks like so far. And for Demon Hunter, we're not gonna be seeing OTK Demon Hunter as much anymore, but it's still gonna be a pretty good deck in top ranks. With Druid, Aggro Druid is gonna be the best performing list, I'm assuming, and a Conjure Druid is still probably not gonna be too bad in top ranks, but you're not gonna be seeing it too much from Diamond to Legend now. For Mage, Mazaki OTK Mage and Quest Mage are still the best performers, but maybe we are gonna be seeing some Big Spell Mage after those 3 buffs. With Priest, Big Priest is at the top with a very low sample size but a pretty good win rate, Miracle Priest can be pretty good, and also Quest Priest is actually working somewhat well. And for Warrior, it's same old news, Quest Warrior all around. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this top 5 helps you figure out what you wanna be playing in this new post-nerf meta. Don't forget you can also hire me for some Hearthstone coaching, and you can be sure we will be reaching Legend as well. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video, or stream.